Okay, guys, it's story time once again. This story is going to be about my first ever concert experience, and ironically, the last upload that I just put up, Pantera, that was my first ever live concert experience. Now, in the past, when I was a kid, I've seen like little local acts, like my dad's band, for instance, playing in front of 20 people, maybe 50 people, whatever. I've seen like little local shows like that a couple times here and there. But as far as like the overall concert experience, that was my very first live show, and that was back in '97. Now I'm from suburb area, Detroit, Michigan. So this particular show was back in '97 at the State Fairgrounds with Neurosis and Clutch. I think there was one more band on the bill, but I just can't remember off the top of my head who it was. So that was my first ever taste, and actually that song that I posted, Strength Beyond Strength, was the very first Pantera song that I ever heard, believe it or not. That was the first cassette tape that I got, was Far Beyond Driven, and that was my very first listen of Pantera was that song. And that was like, what the hell is this, man? This is some powerful stuff. So that's how Pantera came out with that song on that particular tour. I remember my cousin and I, when we got to that show, that was the first time ever, like, being around the green herb, and I'm not talking about Resident Evil green herbs. I'm talking about, what I'm talking about. But so Neurosis, I think, was playing a few more songs, and then after that we watched Clutch. That was really cool. And then it seemed like forever and ever and ever we waited and waited and waited for Pantera. The Great Southern Trendkill backdrop was in front of them, so you couldn't see what was going on behind them, and we waited and waited and waited and waited, and it just felt like an eternity. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, they busted out with Strength Beyond Strength, and that curtain dropped. Oh my God, the intensity, and just watching that mosh pit, that was one of the coolest shows I ever been to by far. But that was my first concert experience, and then after that, started going to death metal shows years and years and years later. I don't think I went to another show until I was probably 19, 20 years old, around there. And that show was at the IROC. That was Misery Index, Divine Empire when they were still around, local band Mutilated that we used to share the practice space with when I was still in Gut Rot. And let's see who else was on it. There was Dying Fetus and Skinless. And I remember all of us back then, before this YouTube and all this camera footage going out online and stuff, everybody trying to get a look at John Longstreth when he was playing the drums for Skinless back then, seeing how this Gravity Blast one-handed roll was being performed. Man, those were the days. That was really cool. And I remember being like so nervous around these kinds of guys, not knowing like, what kind of people they are. God, are they like serial killers? Are they even nice dudes? What are they going to do if I try to say hi to them? Turns out metal guys are some of the most down-to-earth, humble, nicest dudes you ever meet in your life. You guys know this. But I just wanted to share this this particular story with you guys. I got a few uploads coming up right now. I'm in the process of editing a Metallica one. I decided to do, since I got this pretty much set up. By the way, this guitar is incredibly easy to set up, since it's just one of these strung through designs. And I'm really glad I didn't take it in, because it would have just been a waste of money, because everything that I did on there I was able to do myself. And another thing, I was able to kind of get a little bit more sound out of the stock pickups that are in there. I raised the pickups a little bit higher, and that seemed to help the sound a little bit more. So I'm going to play on those for a little while. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to cover a song where I could do both clean tones, leads, and rhythm tones. And I ended up doing Enter Sandman. I mean, I have a little soft spot for that song, so I did a Enter Sandman cover. I'm working on that. That's in the process of editing right now. I got Slayer Postmortem I did on that guitar, and then I'm gonna grab my BC Rich, and I'm gonna cover Postmortem and drop B. I'm gonna try and play it a little bit faster too. So should have about 3 more uploads coming up within the next day or two. So be on the lookout for those. So I thank you guys watching very much. Thanks for all the support, and I will talk to you guys soon. So you guys take care.